All right, I'm going to call this meeting of the Morton County Commission on May 27, 2025 to order. Our first item of business will be the Pledge of Allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we'll do a roll call of commissioners. Commissioner Zachmeyer?
Yes.
Commissioner Buckley?
Yes.
Commissioner Tokash?
Here.
Commissioner Morrell?
Here.
And myself, Commissioner Boehm. I also have Auditor Roan up here at front, and State's Attorney Copy and Sheriff Kirkmeyer in the back of the room. Next item would be the approval of the agenda.
Mr. Chairman, I would move to approve the agenda as presented.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the agenda as presented. Is there any discussion? Any discussion? Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. Next is the approval of the minutes from the previous meeting on May 8th, 2025.
Mr. Chair, motion to approve the minutes from the May 8, 2025 meeting.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the minutes from the May 8th, 2025 commission meeting. Is there any discussion? Any discussion? Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. Commissioner Tokash, you have bills this month?
Commissioners, I've reviewed the monthly bills and everything looks appropriate. I've signed off on them. So I'd move that we approve monthly bills and payroll.
Second.
All right, it's been moved and seconded to approve monthly bills and payroll. Is there any discussion? Any discussion? Any discussion? Seeing none, do a roll call vote. Commissioner Tokash.
Yes.
Commissioner Buckley.
Yes.
Commissioner Morrell.
Yes.
Commissioner Zachmeyer.
Yes.
And myself, yes. Motion carries. All right, we'll move right into our regular agenda. Teresa Tom from Vision Zero is here to give us a report.
I think the microphone's on. I don't think so.
No.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
Awesome. Okay, so my name is Teresa Tome. I'm with Vision Zeros. Most of you I'm very familiar with, so it's good to see all of you again. And I want to share with you some of the data and things that we've gotten in the past few years from Morton County in particular with traffic fatalities. So right now I have 4 other coordinators that are working with me. I'm in the Southwest region, and then I have my coworker Molly in the Northwest. Caitlin is in the Northeast. She's in the Grand Forks area. Leah is in the Southeast region in Fargo, and then we added a coordinator in Jamestown in the East Central area. And we are also looking at adding a coordinator in Dickinson very shortly here. So we're gonna have a lot, we've been covering a lot more ground with adding more and more coordinators, which has been very, very helpful for us. So every year we have 40,000 lives lost in America. And in North Dakota, we have about 100 lives lost every year. And so I'm going to share with you some of our numbers in North Dakota in particular. So in 2020, we had 68 fatalities. Of those 68, 41 were not wearing their seatbelts, where a seatbelt was attributed. This is not including motorcycle fatalities or off-roading or farm equipment. So in 2020, we had 68 fatalities, 41 were not wearing their seatbelt, that's 60% unbelted. In 2021, we had 80 fatalities, and 37 had no seatbelt used, so that's 46%. In 2022, we had 68 fatalities, and we had 47 not wearing a seatbelt, so that's 69% unbelted. And then in 2023, we had 76 fatalities and 36 people were not wearing their seatbelts, and that was 47% unbelted. That's North Dakota numbers. Then for the numbers in Morton County, in 2020, there were 356 crashes. there were 148 injuries, and Morton County had 8 fatalities. In 2021, there were 418 crashes, there were 154 injuries, and 7 fatalities. In 2022, there were 474 crashes, 161 injuries, and 5 fatalities. And in 2023, there were 474 crashes, once again, and then 145 injuries and 8 fatalities. So, did everyone get on the commission? Did everyone get this? Okay, so we're gonna go over that a little bit. Have any of you had the chance to look it over at all? Okay, so, this is a crash report from the past 5 years, from 2019 to 2023. And the total fatal crashes from that time frame of the past 5 years is 32 crash fatalities in Morton County alone. Of those 32, 22 of those fatalities were rural. Those were in the country. They weren't in town or in a highly populated area. It was all, 22 were in rural areas. And then 13 of those 32 fatalities were ejected from the vehicle. So those people were obviously not wearing a seatbelt at the time of the crash. And then there were 10 fatalities in the city of Mandan alone. That's 31% of your fatalities. And then for your motorcycle fatalities, 5 were not wearing a seatbelt. Or excuse me, 5 were not using their helmet. And then of your 32 fatalities in the past 5 years, 27 of those fatalities happened when the roads were dry. There were no other things going on. There was no weather-related issues. So most of the crashes are happening when the weather is clear, and it's mainly in the rural areas. So yeah, any questions on those numbers at all, or comments? Okay. So part of our Vision Zero initiative is working with schools, and in Flasher, in Morton County, they are a Vision Zero school, and so we've been working with them to try and improve seatbelt use, especially, but also talk about distracted driving and improving road behavior in general. If you are a teen, you're more likely to get into a crash. That's just statistics. And so our teens are a group that we really want to target, and that's why we have Vision Zero schools. So we have 15 active schools all throughout North Dakota. What I'm hoping for is that we can add a school that's a little bit bigger. Like, I'm hoping we can add Mandan High School as a Vision Zero school. And one of those reasons is because I know that every 1 or 2 years there's a pretty bad crash that happens with teens involved. And I'm hoping that we can get a Vision Zero school in Mandan for that reason, that we can start getting that messaging out. We can improve seatbelt use, we can encourage sober driving, whatever that looks like. So my next school I'm hoping to add is Mandan High School. And I hope that I can get your support in doing that as well. Okay, and I forgot to mention, Vision Zero Schools is a peer-to-peer program. It's not me telling the students to drive safe. It's not police officers. It's not the teachers. It's the students themselves sharing that message with their peers. And so we help them create video and social media accounts to make sure that they're getting that message out to their peers. Okay, and then 2 weeks ago, we had Click It for Coffee in Morton County with Balancing Goat. That's when people come through the drive-through wearing their seatbelt, and they get a coupon for the next time that they come in, thanking them for wearing a seatbelt. So I was out there with a couple Morton County PD Morton County Sheriff's Office, Mandan PD, and the North Dakota Highway Patrol. And we were out there handing out coupons, thanking people for wearing their seatbelts at Balancing Goat. That was on May 12th. And coming up, we have an event with the Bismarck Clarks, but this will include Morton County. It's called DUI Enforcement All-Star Night. So we're recognizing officers that are able to get DUIs, that have been very successful in tracking down DUIs and getting people off the road who are not supposed to be on the road. So that's going to be on July 31st. So if you know law enforcement, that would be beneficial for them to know about this event and be recognized for their hard work. That will be on July 31st at the Bismarck Larks Stadium. So that is my update. I appreciate you guys taking the time to let me come here and talk about this. But do you have any questions?
Mr. Chairman, I guess.
Yes,
I do.
go ahead.
How do you encourage the Mandan school to participate? Like, how did you get Flasher, and how do you propose you're gonna get,
Yeah, great question. In the past with Flasher, they're a smaller school, so it's been easier. I'll like contact the principal. I'll work with Deputy Tommy, the SRO, and that has helped. And Deputy Tommy has told me that Mandan, he has some connections too, so he'd be able to help me get in. Bigger schools are tougher because they have more administration involved, and so you got to get approval from like 3 or 4 people before coming on. Like Flasher, it was easy. I had approval from the principal, and that was all I needed. So with the bigger schools, it is a little bit more challenging, just getting through the loopholes of approval from everyone. Yeah. Any other questions?
Yep. Thank you very much, Teresa.
Thank you.
Got to get into the mic here again. Appreciate the update. Haven't seen you for a while, so. All right, moving on to our next one, North Dakota Cares. And I'm not sure who's speaking or, okay.
Good evening, Chair, Commissioners. Thank you so much for having us here this evening. I'm Shelley Sizer. I'm an Army National Guard veteran, and I'm currently serving as a civilian aide to the Secretary of the Army for the state of North Dakota. I also chair the North Dakota Cares Coalition. Since Morton County is our newest North Dakota Cares community/county, I want to share just a little bit of the history of North Dakota Cares with you. So North Dakota Cares was established by former Governor Jack Dalrymple in 2015. And he established a coalition charged with improving collaboration and coordination on behavioral health services for service members, veterans, families, and survivors. So there has never been a shortage of organizations and volunteers, businesses who have wanted to do things for service members and families. However, it used to be that the left hand didn't really know what the right hand was doing. I don't know if you ever have that situation in public service. But anyway, this was happening. So many people were out there doing things to help, but efforts were duplicated. So by standing up this coalition, it's been very beneficial and helpful in resolving that issue. So what is North Dakota Cares? It's a coalition of more than 40 service providers and partners. And our mission statement is strengthening an accessible, seamless network of support for service members, veterans, families, and survivors. So while North Dakota Cares does not provide direct services, it networks with service providers and partners in order to provide resources in many, many areas. And some of those areas are mental and physical health, housing and food, family relationships, wellness, suicide, employment, caregiver support, military benefits, transportation, legal issues, and military training and education. So, congratulations to Morton County on becoming our newest North Dakota Cares community/county, and you join over 60 other communities in the state who are also North Dakota Cares communities. So, at this point, Nick, I'll turn it over to Nikki. You have a few words, Nikki, and then we'll do the presentation.
All right, good evening. I know I recognize a lot of faces out there. I know I have come to speak about this before. I'm Nikki Freilich. I am a program called North Dakota Military Outreach Program. I'm a program that falls under North Dakota Cares. In my program, I help veterans, service members, families of all branches, all eras of the military in finding information, resources, and benefits that families, service members, and veterans are looking for. So all of the things that Shelley had mentioned, anything from mental health, physical health, anything like that, I am a resource to be utilized for veterans, service members, and families. And with that, I have a certificate and a road sign to present to you.
I think we all get to go up front for a little bit. I'll take one, so.
Okay.
Or Lacey. We'll get Lacey. We're gonna have Mitch come up too. Sheriff Kirkmeyer want to come up too?
I guess I can.
Okay, so the certificate reads, recognizing Morton County, North Dakota as a North Dakota Cares partner community. Your partnership in our effort, in our support network, will provide added synergy to the North Dakota Cares Coalition efforts in caring for our military community in North Dakota. Signed, Michelle Panos, Director, and Shelley Sizer, Civilian Agent, Secretary of the Army. So, there we go. Okay. Can I sneak in here without bumping anybody out? Can we slide that way up there? I'm going to block you out.
There we go.
Here we go this way? We got everybody?
Now
Can you see everybody now?
Yep. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Ready? 1, 2, 3.
gives us something. Professional Like, I'm just trying to be like you.
I want to be like you.
Thank you.
In order to get a convention, the highway department to figure out where to put it.
Yep.
Right?
So fun. Yeah, so fun. And he said he's pulling. Yes. Good for him. He's doing a good run. Yeah, that's good.
Don will have to figure out where that goes. All right, we'll move on with our agenda then. Next is Scott Wheeler Jr.
Good evening. I'm sorry, go ahead.
You go right ahead.
Good evening. Thank you for having me. Happy to have the opportunity to speak about my request for a letter of support from Morton County Commission regarding my efforts for the 70th anniversary of the Lawrence Welk Show's national debut. I started in January reaching out in North Dakota, to media, lawmakers, and so forth, and I submitted last week copies of some of the letters that I've received in the state, and also from the former congressman from western Minnesota who was the chairman of the House Ag Committee, and I didn't include this, but the chairwoman of CEO of the South Dakota Hall of Fame, which also honors Mr. Welk and Myron Florin, also has offered support. So I have tried across your great state and into some of the neighboring states to see what support I can get, and I've reached out a couple of times to Congresswoman Fedorchak's office. The last time I was given an email of a staffer that I can send additional information to, and I've been waiting until we got closer to the July 2nd date to provide them with more information. Currently, more than 20 counties in the state have approved either a proclamation, a resolution, or a letter of support. And so once I feel like I'm pretty close to the max of support that I'm going to get, I plan on providing her office with any copies of these documents that they would like. And I've been interviewed on 3 programs, 2 in the Bismarck media area, KFYR Plus with Jay Dillon, the News Hour, and Joel Porter also did I think they call it KX interviews, something like that. And then North Dakota Today and Fargo. So I could provide you with any additional documents in addition to what I've already given you last week. I didn't want to overwhelm you with too much, just give you a sample. I'm happy to answer any questions you may have, but if I may go over a little bit of what I said last week, this is something that's personally important to me because my parents grew up watching the show. My mom has a story. I don't know if she wants me to tell it, but it's already in the My Not newspaper interview that I provided you with, where when the tap dancer Arthur Duncan would come out, she'd go in the kitchen and tap dance. She wanted to be a tap dancer, I guess. And so growing up, the show meant something to her. My grandparents watched it, obviously. And on a personal note further, my father's side of the family has Midwestern farming roots that we're proud of from Wisconsin. And I know Mr. Welk was the son of Strasburg, North Dakota farmers. And my mom's from Pittsburgh, that area, and that's where the Freight Champagne music became associated with Lawrence Welk. And so you can see, I'm sure, how cross generations, the show, one way or another, I can connect to it. It keeps popping up in my life, and I'm able to watch it locally here in Tallahassee on WFSU. And, there's many states across the country where you can still see it, but sadly, I think there's certain areas where you can't anymore. And so I think that's another reason why this is worthy of consideration, because, some people might think, oh, that's the past, that's the old days, everything like that. But I really think that the variety of music offered and Mr. Welk's intention that he mentioned in his autobiography of it being family friendly, something that the mother wouldn't have to worry about the children seeing, I think that's relevant in any era, really. So it may be old fashioned, but I still think that it's something that people should feel comfortable watching with anybody, any age. So I'm happy to answer any questions, and thank you for your consideration.
Commissioners have any questions for Scott?
All I can say is he looks awfully young to even know who Lawrence Welk is.
I'll take that while I still can.
Not so much a question, Mr. Chair, but just a statement, and Scott alluded to it in his notes, but yes, Lawrence's wife is from St. Anthony. Mm-hmm. She's a renter from...
She's a renter.
Yep.
From Shenanigans. But
relation off always.
I would
Relation on the renter side.
reflect as well of my childhood going out to my grandmother's house, Erasmus and Teresa Morell, a little bit south of St. Anthony proper. And Saturday nights, we weren't allowed into the living room till after 6 o'clock. But we went into the living room, we watched Lawrence Welk, The Little Rascals, and then it was time to go home. And to this day still, my wife and I would sit at our kitchen, and the occasional evening when Lawrence Welk was on whatever broadcast, we would turn it on and we would reflect on memories. I didn't quite tap dance, but I sat there and listened to it.
No, I want to see that.
And I know one of the young girls, the young blonde, she winked at me one episode. I remember that.
We all had those memories. So there, any other questions or comments? Moving on.
So he's asking for a letter of support then? Is that what? Do you want a motion then, Mr. Chairman? Or is
Yeah, I
that
would think so.
Okay. Mr. Chairman, I would move that we write a letter of support commemorating the 70th anniversary of the Lawrence Welk initial show.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to write a letter of support commemorating the 70th anniversary of the Lawrence Welk Show. Is there any further discussion? Any discussion? Any discussion? I guess so.
Can I add one thing?
Yep, you can.
Thank you. I just wanted to say that since it sounds, I don't want to be presumptuous, but it sounds like it may have passed, and if so, in addition to saying thank you, it seems as though you put me over the 50% mark in North Dakota, being the 27th county out of the 53 to approve something. So, I mean, it's an honor, but it's also an honor because of Mrs. Welks being from there. You know, a little bit of a nice personal touch on it. I didn't plan it that way in the beginning, but I just wanted to let you guys know that I appreciate that.
And actually, my family has renter ties, so that goes right into that one. And I might ask our courthouse historian to help me write it up a little bit. He seems to know a little bit about everything. Anyway, okay. Call for discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. We will draft something up, Scott, and get it towards you here
Thank you.
shortly. It might not be this week. I've got a lot of other things going on.
I understand. Thank you to everyone.
Yep.
Take care.
Mr. Psyche.
Good evening, Commissioners and Auditor Roan. This is a little different situation where I'm going before dawn. So, anyway.
He's wondering how that happened and
Yes.
who you have to pay off.
This evening I'm before you much like I was last month. I have two potential resolutions of necessity for two different special assessment districts. And as we've done in the past, this one I'm requesting approval for a resolution of necessity and establish a date for a public hearing for Yellow Rose Estates and Howling Wolf Estates. Back up, I'm going to handle these as two separate since you're going to have to vote for a vote on both of them separately. But the format and the content is very similar between the two. And so what has happened is Yellow Rose Estates and Howland Wolf Estates subdivisions have submitted signatures for special assessment districts. Theirs is currently a gravel road, so that would be a 4-inch hot mixed bituminous pavement and chip seal. 60% of the property owners in the benefited boundary are in favor of the paving district. The Morton County Special Assessment Screening Committee met on May 8th and recommended approval. In your packet is a copy of the petition, the recap of the signatures, the owner's list, the engineer's estimate, and applicable sections of the North Dakota Century Code. With that, I would recommend approval of this, and if you look, we have 60% of the property owners have signed, and by area, the total is 44%, so it's below the 50% threshold that would cause it to not go forward. So we'd have to have some significant people backing out at the time of the public hearing. I would also like to establish a public hearing that will be advertised in the newspaper, and I will send out letters to each of the property owners, and I'm recommending July 10th, 2025 at 6 p.m. at that meeting of the Morton County Commission. And with that, I'd be open to any questions.
Are they written up together here, aren't they?
There's two, I wrote them up as two separate
Okay.
agenda items, since they'll have to be voted on separately.
The other one's back there.
Yep,
Nathan.
that was stuck together here.
Mr. Chairman, I move to approve the resolution of necessity for Prairie Ridge Estates subdivision, project 2589.
This would be Yellow Rose.
Yellow Rose.
This is the Yellow Rose
On
project,
the
okay.
other one.
Pull that one back and
It's in the
pull our
packet
Yellow
second.
Rose.
Yeah. Yes, and the other thing is, having done this 2 times in 2 months, and they're very, very similar, it's becoming quite interesting, the amount of interest in either gravel or asphalt, so.
Let me try again.
Go ahead.
Mr. Chairman, I move to approve the resolution of necessity for Yellow Rose Estates and Howland Wolf Estate subdivision, project 2588, for 4-inch hot mix bituminous pavement and chip seal. 60% of the property owners have signed the petition per North Dakota Century Code 11 40-11-55.1 as required by North Dakota Century Code 40-22-17, and schedule a public hearing at the Morton County Commission meeting on July 10th, 2025 at 6:15 PM.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the resolution of necessity for Yellow Rose Estates and Howland Wolf Estates subdivision project 2588 and schedule the public hearing Morton County Commission meeting on July 10th, 2025. Is there any further discussion? Any further discussion? Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, the next one is Prairie Ridge Estates subdivision, and this is a different situation in that it's already been paved at one time, but due to the fatigue of the existing asphalt, portions of it are going to have to be reconstructed, primarily up at the cul-de-sac, and so this will be a pavement patch and reconstruct overlay of 2-inch hot mix bituminous pavement and a chip seal. 76% of the benefited owners, of the property owners in the benefited property area in favor. And once again, the Morton County Special Assessment Screening Committee met on May 8th, 2025 and recommended approval. In your packet are the copy of the petition, the recap of signatures, the owner's list, engineer's estimate, and the sections of the Century Code. And with this, I will also advertise for the public hearing on July 10th, 2025 at that County Commission meeting. And I will once again send letters to each of the property owners advising them of the protest period and when the meeting will occur. And as you, on the list of the property owners that I included, of the areas, as I said, the owners have 76% have agreed, and the area is 44.3%. So it also is below the threshold of 50% that would bar it moving forward. With this, we're looking at a potential of 5 subdivisions that will be paved in essentially the same area. You can see about every one of them from the other one. And this is going to put the engineer's estimate up above somewhere 2.5 million or more. So it should make it very attractive for any of the bidders to bid and get a good price. Having them all together, that will reduce our mobilization and get larger quantities so we can get a better price. So with that, I'd be open to any questions.
Commissioners have any questions on this second one?
Ready for a motion?
I am.
I move to approve the resolution of necessity for Prairie Ridge Estates subdivision, project 2589, which is patching and overlay of pavement, roughly 2 inches of hot mix bituminous pavement and chip seal. Over 60% of the property owners have signed the petition per North Dakota Century Code 11-11-55.1, as required by North Dakota Century Code 40-22-17, and schedule a public hearing at the Morton County Commission meeting on July 10, 2025 at 6:15 p.m.
A second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to approve the resolution of necessity for Prairie Ridge Estates subdivision, project 2589, and establish a public hearing at the Morton County Commission meeting on July 10th. Is there any discussion?
Mr. Chairman, there's not a problem that they're both scheduled at the same time.
That was my question,
One of
if
them,
it didn't get asked.
yeah, one should be at 6 o'clock and one's at 6:15.
Well, our motions say 6:15 for both, John.
All right,
I
that
will
was on my error.
make mine a friendly motion adjustment to 6 o'clock p.m. for
Okay,
Prairie
that
Ridge.
will work. Thank you.
The seconder
Second.
agrees? Okay. Hearing at 6, okay. Is there any other discussion? Any other discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, John.
And that's all I have. Thank you.
All right, Don.
All right. First couple sections I have are just kind of cleanup from this past legislative session where they changed some of the rules, so now we have to go back. So the first one is for homes owned by trusts. The way the legislation was written in 2023, trusts were excluded from receiving the primary residence credit. So this past session, they did rectify that. They made it retroactive to the 24 year so that the trust, homes owned by trust could go back and receive that primary residence credit. So the state tax commissioner did have them register the trusts. They were able to register for 25 and 24 both. They then sent us a list of the ones that were approved for going back to 24. So that is what is before you. The amount in the primary residence credit column is the amount of primary residence credit that will be applied. It's not necessarily what will be refunded to the taxpayer because of how the calculations work, but that is the primary residence credit that will be applied.
Mr. Chairman, I would move to recommend approval of the trust primary residence credit for abatements numbers 7024 through 7114.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve abatements 7024 through 7114 for trusts and primary residence credit abatement. Is there any discussion?
Don, we have to give notification like what's required for the primary residence credit for this?
The notification is a go-forward thing. The legislation here did not include that.
Okay.
That'll be for the actual 26 years, so still in 25 we don't have to provide notification. But starting in the 26 year, we will have to notify everybody that registers for the PRC whether they received it or not,
Right.
through a letter.
Any other discussion? Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries.
Okay. The second one is for the veterans credit. When they increased the homestead credit to up to 200,000 of true and full value, they didn't make an adjustment to the veterans credit. So that was still at 180,000 of true and full. So this past legislative session, they did go increase that to match the homestead credit. So they're now both 200,000. For real estate, that will be on their bill at the end of the year, so those are pretty easy. But for mobile homes, of course, we bill those ahead, not behind. So those have already been billed and the veterans credit applied. So I had to go back through. Luckily, there was only 10 of them that had received the veterans credit, and only 2 of them had exceeded that 180,000 upper limit. So the 2 before you are the 2 that need an adjustment. The amounts there you see are the taxable amounts. So the old 180,000 figured out to 8,100 of taxable. The new 200,000 is 9,000 of taxable, so there's a $900 difference there. So what you're seeing is on the first one, we're reducing 900 out of there to get them to the full 200,000. The second one was over the 180, but not quite 2,000. So their bill ends up becoming 0. So both of these will need to be refunded to the taxpayer with that adjustment.
Sure.
Mr. Chair, I move that we approve abatement numbers 7115 and 7116 for the recent change to state law for veterans credit on mobile homes.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve abatements 7115 and 7116 for veterans credit on mobile homes. Is there any discussion? Any discussion? Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, and the final one is just regular old homestead abatements. We have 2 of them from the city of Mandan for the same person for the 23 year and the 24 year.
Mr. Chairman, I move to approve homestead abatements 7117 and 7118, the City of Mandan 2023 and 2024.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve abatements 7117 and 7118 for 2023 and 2024, the City of Mandan homestead abatements. Is there any discussion? Any discussion? Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you, Don. And I guess I'm next on the agenda. As those of you that have seen the packet noticed, we had a resignation at our extension office. Someone we just got going about a year, and Bismarck Public Schools kiped her back from us, took her back there and got her back to work. So, our regional director, Dina Kemet, and our other extension agent in the office, Jaden Russell, were not available tonight. This was real short notice here when we found this out. And visiting with the two of them, they were wondering if I would present it, so that we need a motion to let them move forward with the hiring process, to get that started right off the bat. It'll be, you can see in the packet, there's a job listing position. That's a standard template. I don't know if that's the exact one they'll use, or if there'll be a few adjustments in there. But just to let them, allow them to move forward with this process so we get started.
Mr. Chair, I would reluctantly accept the resignation from Cassie Allerding for the position, but also authorize NDSU Extension to post the new position for hiring.
Second.
All right. It's been moved and seconded to accept the resignation of Cassie Allerdings and have NDSU Extension move forward with the posting of the job position. Is there any discussion? Any discussion? Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. And with that, just one quick note. Their summer intern, Brooke Coons, will be back to help out with 4-H for the summer. As soon as she gets back from State FFA Convention next week. So, that one's in process. Next on the agenda, we have Dawn, our LEC Capital Fund.
Okay, so if you remember last meeting, Sheriff Kirkmeyer informed you of the failing sewer pumps in the LEC basement, and we decided that that should go to the LEC Advisory Board. So we did meet last week, and the board approved it, and the City of Mandan has since approved it also. So we just need the commission to approve expending those funds from our LEC capital funds.
Mr. Chair, I move to approve the expenditure of $15,040 from the Law Enforcement Center capital funds to replace the sewage lift pumps in the Law Enforcement Center.
I'll second.
All right. It's been moved and seconded to approve the expenditure of $15,040 from the LEC Law Enforcement Center capital funds to replace the sewage lift pumps in the Law Enforcement Center. Is there any discussion?
Just a question for the sheriff. Do you have an ETA on that?
Well, about 2 weeks ago, it was 2 weeks, so I'm thinking
This week or next week?
pretty soon.
Okay.
Yep.
Sooner, once it's approved, we'll move forward here, and I'm hoping at least by next week.
Okay.
Any other discussion? Any discussion? We need a roll call?
Yes.
Yeah, we should have a roll call on this one. I will do a roll call vote. Commissioner Morrell?
Yes.
Commissioner Tokash?
Yes.
Commissioner Buckley?
Yes.
Commissioner Zachmeyer?
Yes.
And myself, yes. Motion carries. Thank you.
I have one more thing, yes. Okay, so I gave each of you the budget calendar. So I will have budget worksheets out to the department heads next week.
Yeah.
And then commission, you can meet with your portfolio holders and go over those. Like in the past, it's just the big, larger budgets that we have come before the commission at a meeting. So we will do those on the 2 July meetings. So our second July meeting is fairly early this year. It's on July 22nd. So I know the following week is a county fair, so we probably didn't want to do it that week. And so the 22nd is just going to be too soon to try to get the preliminary budget approved since we still have presentations that night. And then we have to have our preliminary budget approved by August 8th. And our first meeting in August is late. It's on the 14th. So we either have a special meeting on August 7th or we just move our regular meeting from August 14th to August 7th.
That's still a Thursday, correct?
Yes.
Sure. I already had that in my book. Preliminary budget. You must have talked to me.
Maybe I mentioned it before. Huh?
Yeah, I already had it down, so.
So it would be on the 14th then?
No, it'd be
Are
on
we
the
on 7th?
7th because it
Okay.
has to be approved before the 14th.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm okay with that. Commissioners, I got 2 nods.
Yeah.
Commissioner Zachmeyer?
Oh, you know what? When I look on our schedule, it does show August 7th. Maybe we
Right.
talked about that when we
Thought we
set our
did.
meeting dates. I thought of that ahead of time. So,
I have a commission meeting on August 7th, Mike.
yep,
Yeah,
okay,
we all
okay,
do.
we're good then.
Right.
Okay, so
I
that's
forgot
our
we
regular
did
meeting. We
that.
don't have to move it. Yeah, okay.
All right. Anything else?
Oh, yes, and so when I'm sending out the budget sheets, like we have in the past, we always alternate but our salary increases between a percentage and a flat amount. So last year, it was 4%, the prior year it was 2,000, and it's kind of been alternating, I think. We have approximately, excluding social services, since they do their own budget, we have about 120 employees. So if you compute what that is if you would do 2,000 for each employee, that comes out to about 2.7% when you take total salaries and take what the 2,000 per employee is. It's about 2.7% of total salaries, just an FYI. So I just need a dollar amount or a combination of dollar and percentage. We've done that in the past. Where do you want me to start? We'll start at a point, and then once we get all of the budgets back, see where we're at, and of course, we're limited to the 3% increase, but there again, I believe that's 3% over the zero mil increase, so you don't count your new growth. So, in looking back, the last 14 years, we've only went over that 0 mil increase 2 times in the last 14 years, so I'm fairly confident that 3% is not going to be a
won't hurt us.
hindrance to us at all.
No.
We've had enough new growth that the new growth has absorbed our increases.
It's going to hurt smaller communities more.
So can we go with 3 then?
Well, if you want to keep alternating, we'd want to do a flat amount.
Okay.
But I mean, if you want me to say, let's say, do a flat amount, whatever 3% equates to, I can compute that too.
Yeah. You said 2,000 was about 2.7%, so if you were to go 2,500, you'd be really close.
22, I think.
Yeah, it's 20, it's right up close to 2,300, I think, is what it comes to. But we could start at 25 for sure. Don't want to start too high, and then we get, you can always go up.
I don't know. I haven't heard. What are you getting? 3, I thought, for the state.
I think it's 3.
I haven't heard.
You would know, you work there.
Well, I mean, if you would go up to 3%, that would I mean, only be,
It's not that much.
it's not,
No, 3% is.
no, it's $220 up
Yeah.
per person. So if you would do 2250 or something, it would just be a little over 3% probably.
The equivalent of a 3%.
Yeah.
We'll just let the math work itself.
So we just say 2250 and then we work off of that number to start with. Okay?
Okay.
You good with that? Consensus among the group? Okay. We'll start there and see what happens.
Okay, I'll get those out next week.
Okay. Anyone else have anything good for the order?
Mr. Chair, I got some comments. I'd like to reflect on our Morton County Roads crew and address our community as well. So obviously keeping in mind the last 10 days, barring these last 3 days of sunshine, which was an anomaly, I think, for some of us. But in the last 10 days, we've received anywhere from 10 inches to 6 inches of rain. That completely, it was a great saturation, but obviously it saturated our roads. With that, again, reminding our citizens across Morton County that when you look at the landmass of Morton County, we're just shy of 2 million square miles of landmass and 1,600 miles of road. So that's a lot of road and a lot of distance to get to those roads to get them addressed. And I do not have the roads portfolio, but I drive several of these county roads. And I've noticed, of course, immediately after the rain, yeah, the roads were soft, they were mush, they were yuck, they weren't fun. Had to wash my pickup probably 3 times in the weekend. But also understanding that our road crew was out that very next day. They had priorities. They had priority roads that they had to hit. So not every resident got their road addressed right away because, again, we have 2 million square miles to cover with 1,600 miles of road. It takes time, it takes strategy, and it takes patience. So for the Morton County Road crew, I'd like to say hats off to them because they were working not only Friday after the rain stopped, but also on Saturday and on Sunday. Our road crew was out. Yep. And I wish every citizen that is impacted with these roads, that has their roads repaired this short notice, take time to say thank you to our Morton County road operators and our highway crew. They go through the extra effort, and keep in mind when storms hit, same story. It takes time. So for the citizens out there, we hope you do have good roads. Our gravel is not the greatest. We all understand that. But again, appreciate the effort for the road crew, what they have done, and for the entire Highway Department staff.
We had road commission last week and we discussed this quite at length. And, what Chad has said is that all our motor grader operators have GPS, ability to mark, bad spots in roads. And the plan is that they were gonna mark those bad soft spots that were showing a lot of deep ruts and that sort of type of thing. And we would do some spot graveling as well, after, when things straightened out. And so that's the plan for some of those areas.
Commissioner Buckley added and just brought another thought for me too, is again, the immediate attention was made on these roads as best as they're able to. That doesn't mean that they're gonna stop. But some of these ruts take a little bit extra time to repair, and again, asking the patience of the residents out there, it will get gotten to.
I did want to add as well, and I'm glad you brought that up, Commissioner Morrell and Commissioner Buckley. It has been a challenge. Everyone out in the country has been affected by this. We do hear you. Anyone that is listening, we did equate it, and I think our highway department has equated it to the shoveling out after a large snowstorm. It's tough to get the roads back into shape, but they are working. And again, I also want to commend the entire Morton County Highway Department on the effort they're putting forth and continuing to put forth to get these roads back into shape. It's, some areas have gotten over 10 inches of rain, and it's just been over a long extended period, and it raises heck with our roads. The other thing I would, anyone that would be listening in, I would like to recommend to some of the farmers that are out there, maybe hold off a day or two if you can on hauling grain when the roads are in this kind of shape, because it destroys them. It really does. So, thank you to everyone.
And slow down.
Yeah, I mean, granted, the speed limit is 55, but let's try and slow it down a little bit. There's a lot of check holes out there that we're trying to fix, and get that done. And like I said, we're gonna try and haul some gravel. We're getting a lot of new developments that are gonna do some paving and some work on them, as John discussed earlier tonight. Some of you are begging and pleading to have that done. Our process is that you have to go through a petition process. That's the Morton County policy. And so if you're interested in that, please get a hold of the road department to get that process started.
Okay. Thank you, everybody. Thanks, everybody. Anybody else have anything good for the order?
Motion to adjourn?
It's been moved to adjourn. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
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 All those opposed? We are adjourned. Thank you.